Hello, I hope you're well. Welcome to Globaldev.institute. And through my master's thesis research, the focus and aim was to reduce carbon emissions in German cities. And I found that through picking out the four leading sectors in Germany for carbon emissions, they were buildings, transportation, energy, and industry. And from these four, the three buildings, there could be some implementations on various levels that would most effectively reduce the emissions in the building sector. And this included typology that allowed clustering through double inner development so that the units had a surface area ratio to floor area that was optimal for reducing the heating energy needed through limiting the insulation that was required on the outer barriers. And my research was a result of a conglomeration of various literatures, primarily secondary research and qualitative, as well as quantitative. And so I present these findings here to you. For the energy sector, it was found that renewable energy sources are the best way to approach reducing carbon emissions in any country, so specifically Germany. And reducing the emissions was possible through implementing, for example, wind or solar or biomass. And biomass was only possible when the collection and separation of bio-waste, so organics, we're talking about greens and as well as food stock. And when this was properly separated, this facilitated the production of biogas. And the way to most effectively collect this or any type of waste at the household level was to, again, create an urban typology where the population density was not too low, so thereby urban sprawl was limited, so that the collection was facilitated from the household level. In areas in Germany that did not have a sufficient urban density, meaning that urban sprawl was too high and density was too low, it was found that consistently through comparing various literature that recycling collection was impeded and not optimal. And here I began to see a pattern so that through the various sectors, like urban sprawl became a contributing factor to emissions. And looking further into it, again, for the energy and building sector, to tie those two together, it was found that the distribution of heating, so residential heating services, as well as electricity throughout urban fabrics, especially residential areas, was most facilitated through, again, a specific urban density that allowed the most effective distribution of these services to households. And therefore, again, a specific urban density mitigated the excess energy required to distribute heating and electricity to households. So for transportation as a sector, in the last 10 years, it was found that in Germany, there was no significant drop in carbon emissions in the transportation sector, despite public transportation being heavily pushed in Germany and promoted. And this reason is that the electric vehicles that were also promoted were not sufficiently backed up by renewable energy sources in Germany. So here we see a overlap and connection between sectors where if there's not sufficient renewable energy sources, RES, backing up the electric vehicles, then we have a issue or even an increase in energy consumption in the electrical vehicle area, which can be mitigated through cooperation amongst various stakeholders such as automobile companies, governments, and citizens, and it will be more effective. It's a curve line so that after implementation and product development, the energy required to produce electric vehicles and their associated counterparts is reduced. However, looking at the amount of transportation required in an urban setting, it's found that there actually is less need for transportation in areas where there is a sufficient amount of urban density. So that within a 2 or a 5 kilometer radius, people are less inclined to use personal automobiles, more encouraged to use bicycles or foot traffic. And a case study in Tübingen, a city in Germany, demonstrates this through specifically a 5 kilometer radius as well, where we see a high increase in private vehicle use, which is MIT, and a decrease in public transportation. So it's important that we as policymakers ensure that facilities and amenities are located within this radius. So that's a quick introduction of how urban density and urban sprawl are an outcome solution for various leading sectors in Germany for carbon emissions today, which can most effectively mitigate some of our emissions and achieve our collective goals for environment and safety. Thank you.